हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahams Parivicharya Astotra Srila Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिविचार्य अस्तोतर शिष्य डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय. नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौ भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोधाम की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मथुरा धाम की जय. मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय. तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय. समवेत भक्तवृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. And welcome everyone for a Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, August 2nd, 2024 in New York. And today, if I'm not mistaken, we're starting a new chapter, chapter 2 of the 4th canto, Daksha Curses Lord Shiva. Is that correct? Is that where we are?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, yes, thank you everyone for being here. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'll read our first verse and then hopefully others will be able to read more later. Chapter 2, Daksha Curses Lord Shiva. Text 1, Vidura Uvacha Bhave Shilavatang Shriste Daksho Duhitra Vatsalaha Vidvesham Akarot Kasmad Anadrityatmajang Satim. Vidura inquired, why was Daksha, who was so affectionate towards his daughter, envious of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the gentle? Why did he neglect his daughter Sati? In the second chapter of the 4th canto, the cause of the dissension between Lord Shiva and Daksha, which was due to a great sacrifice arranged by Daksha for the pacification of the entire universe, is explained. Lord Shiva is described here as the best of the gentle, because he is not envious of anyone. He is equal to all living entities, and all other good qualities are present in his personality. The word Shiva means all auspicious. No one can be an enemy of Lord Shiva's, for he is so peaceful and renounced that he does not even construct a house for his residence, but lives underneath a tree, always detached from all worldly things. The personality of Lord Shiva symbolizes the best of gentleness. Then why was Daksha, who offered his beloved daughter to such a gentle personality, inimical towards Lord Shiva so intensely that Sati, the daughter of Daksha and wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her body? Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyas Chakripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So between the previous chapter and this one, there's a significant turn in the commentary, significant turn in the narrative, that the previous chapter was a genealogical table of the daughters of Manu. So we heard about the various great personalities who had offspring like Narayan Rishi, the supreme personality of Godhead. And then we started to hear about Sati and Daksha. And last we heard, the last verse talks about Sati herself. And at least according to Srila Vishwanath's translation or verse, she gave up her body through mystic trance before reaching maturity. And this was so astounding to Vidura that he begins this next chapter with the question, well, why did that happen? Wait. And so we hear a little bit about that in this first verse. It goes on for quite some time. It's a significant portion of this beginning of the fourth canto is devoted to this narrative of the enmity between Daksha and Shiva. And Prabhupada in his purport here points out that Shiva has no enmity, and he points to the fact that Shiva doesn't even have a house. So typically, when you have a house, you've got some borders, you've got a fence. Good fences make good neighbors. You got some property boundaries. You want to maintain those boundaries. Someone encroaches upon those boundaries, then you might be a little bit upset. But Lord Shiva doesn't even have that. He just lives under a tree. So why is he the best of gentle persons? What started all this, as they say, kerfuffle? What's the source of the trouble? And so Vidura is very, very keen to know about this. And I'd love to hear from Maharaj if he'd like to say something on this verse so far.
Thank you, Ekendra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tina Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashchadeshata Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. I should say that here in New York, we've just had a thunderstorm, so it's appropriate. I think in third canto we read that where there's lightning and thunder and such manifestations, and Lord Shiva is present. So it's auspicious. This is a significant narrative in Srimad Bhagavatam because it will lead us into many topics of importance, and especially it leads us to the conflict between Daksha and the followers of Lord Shiva. It leads us to cursing and counter-cursing. It leads us to, much that we can discuss as we go along. Just to place it in contemporary context, we still find this going on today where people who are very well qualified in some ways wind up cursing and counter-cursing. And especially digitally now, this has become, instead of there being a great sacrifice assembled, a great sacrificial gathering, a great gathering for sacrifice, now the gathering is always in session, 24 hours a day, and you can release curses or the equivalent of curses. You can criticize others instantly and have your words broadcast to thousands and thousands of people. And in one way, this may give us great satisfaction that we're able to let the world know what we think of someone, but it can also ruin us and cause great harm to others. So all these topics will unfold along with many related or supporting or contributing causes and their effects. So it's Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. I was noticing in Srila Vishwanath's commentary, which is brief, but he says that when Daksha departs in anger after heavily criticizing Shiva, Nandishvar and Brigu fight with curses as weapons.
Mm. He also notes that Daksha was Duhitra-vatsala. He had great affection for his daughter. So it's contradictory. If I have great affection for my daughter, I should naturally have regard for the son-in-law. I should have some friendly relationship. We're family. But instead there was this enmity toward Lord Shiva. And all right, and she married an exalted personality, not some bum off the street, but one of the Mahajans. So it's certainly astonishing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Marsh. Thank you so much. I was just thinking how, I forget whether it was in one of our recent classes here or something I was reading, where Prabhupada's describing how the soul leaves the body when the conditions become so intolerable for the soul that he cannot remain. And here we have an instance, some of us have heard the saying that words hit harder than a fist. And Sati herself seemed to exemplify that statement, because she couldn't tolerate being in that body any longer due to the harsh words of her father.
And that a similar statement will come up in the chapter.
Right. Do you have a bevy of ready readers there?
We have the bevy on one side, Vasudeva on the other. Someone from the bevy side want to read? If you're reading there, then I should turn off my everything. Oh, you're just reading from there. Okay. Then turn on my everything. You can just take this, pass it over.
Kastam chara chara gurum nirvairam shanta vigraham atmaramam katam vesti jagato daivatam mahat. Lord Shiva, the spiritual master of the entire world, is free from enmity, is a peaceful personality, and is always satisfied in himself. He is the greatest among the demigods. How is it possible that Daksha could be inimical towards such an auspicious personality? Purport. Lord Shiva is described here as Chara Chara Guru, the spiritual master of all animate and inanimate objects. He is sometimes known as Bhutana, which means the worshipable deity of the dull-headed. Bhuta is also sometimes taken to indicate the ghosts. Lord Shiva takes charge of reforming persons who are ghosts and demons, not to speak of others who are godly. Therefore, he is the spiritual master of everyone, both the dull and demoniac and the highly learned Vaishnavas. It is also stated, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu. Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. On one hand, he is the worshipable object of the dull demons, and on the other, he is the best of all Vaishnavas, or devotees. And he has a sampradaya called the Rudra Sampradaya. Even if he is an enemy or is sometimes angry, such a personality cannot be the object of envy. So Vidura, in astonishment, asked why he was taken as such, especially by Daksha. Daksha is also not an ordinary person. He is the Prajapati, in charge of fathering population, and all his daughters are highly elevated, especially Sati. The word Sati means the most chaste. Whenever there is consideration of chastity, Sati, this wife of Lord Shiva and daughter of Daksha, is considered first. Vidura was therefore astonished. Daksha is such a great man, he thought, and is the father of Sati. And Lord Shiva is the spiritual master of everyone. How then could there possibly be so much enmity between them that Sati, the most chaste goddess could give up her body because of their quarrel.
Say something.
I want to hear from you.
Dhira jana priyo priyakaro. Lord Shiva is very kind to everyone. So he should be dear to everyone. He's dear to the exalted Paramahamsas, he's dear to the hobgoblins and the ghosts, the dull-headed. Dhira jana priyo priyakaro. He's the well-wisher of everyone, and therefore he should be dear to everyone. Near Matsura, he's not envious of anyone. Certainly not thinking, why do I have to live under this tree when other demigods have so much opulence? In Srimad Bhagavatam, the Sanatana Goswami humorously describes how the adornments of Lord Shiva, his necklace of bones and skulls and some poisonous herb, is like a jibe at the demigods. Is kind of a, what's the word? Ironic. These are ironic ornaments. The other demigods are all adorned with gold and diamonds and precious stones, and Lord Shiva and unguents and what have you. And here's Lord Shiva. He's proudly wearing weeds and poisonous weeds and skulls and bones, because he's, what is my necklace is as good as yours, or your necklace is on the same level as mine. There's what is this gold and what is that? Samalostrashma kanchana. Self-realized person sees no difference between pebbles and stones and gold. So Lord Shiva has nothing. There's nothing for him to be envious of that the demigods have that he doesn't have, and his nature is to be peaceful, non-envious. So he's such a great person. Charachara Guru, the guru of the whole world, of the living and moving and non-moving. Near Vairam, near Matsuro Pujita, a person who's not envious is worthy of worship by the whole world. Shanta Vigraham, peaceful, Atmarama, self-satisfied. Katam, how is it then that Dveshti, that Daksha could be hateful toward the greatest of the demigods? How is that possible? Hare Krishna. And especially because he's a Prajapati, Daksha is a great person himself, so why should such a great, respectable person be envious of Lord Shiva? Looking ahead, Krodhat bhavati sammohat sammohat smriti brahmshad purinashad pranashati. When anger arises from passion, then one bhavati sammoha, one becomes bewildered, he forgets everything, he loses his intelligence. I'll ask you about that bell later. And then everything's finished. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. I had a thought that I was wondering if you might like to expand on, but here we're hearing about an instance that Vidura is expressing astonishment to hear. You would expect, considering the caliber of personalities involved, that there should be no enmity. Daksha's a great personality, Shiva's a great personality, Sati's a great personality. Things, considering the, everyone's pedigree and the exalted nature of the personalities involved, there should be smooth sailing. There should be very pleasant social dealings. But it occurred to me also that often what we hear in the Bhagavatam, despite highly posted individuals being highly posted, that there's some trouble. Some trouble is brewing, and that what we hear often are the exceptions to the rule of what should be going on, and the exceptions, as they say, prove the rule. Great personalities have some conflict, and as a result, either the Lord appears or his devotees appear, and some important instruction is given, or some pastime takes place that wouldn't ordinarily have done.
Yeah, 100,000 years of peace would make for boring reading. But here yes, the exceptions come up. And the exceptions are exactly that. They're exceptional. There's the ordinary affairs, and then there's extraordinary, exceptional affairs, and where they naturally attract our interest. There's something else that I had in mind, that I put it off to make this point first, and I forgot the point. Muhyanti Yatsuraya. Even the demigods become bewildered, Bhagavatam says. And so we see that here.
Right. Thank you. So you have some other on-site readers, but while we're finding that out, Saraswati Mata posts a question or comment here. She says, Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. It is almost impossible for a married daughter to live with the tension between her husband and father, because she has natural affection and loyalty towards both. Her father's rejection and inimical behavior towards her husband is like a direct rejection and attack of her. Sati gave up the body given by her father, who was clearly offensive. Daksha was envious of Shiva's superior position and gave himself permission to attack Shiva, forgetting his love for his daughter. We find Daksha behaves most unlike a devotee or one in his position, as he cursed Narada too, despite Mahabhagavata Narada enabling his sons to go back to Godhead.
Yes. He was done the greatest favor, and he responds that way, in gratitude. Yes. Thank you. Someone else like to read?
The Sanskrit translation. Etad akhyahi me brahman jamatur shvasuryasya cha vidveshastu yata pranams tatyepchem dushya jansati. Translation. My dear Maitreya, to part with one's life is very difficult. Would you kindly explain to me how such a son-in-law and father-in-law could quarrel so bitterly that the great goddess Sati could give up her life?
Any comments, thoughts?
No, sorry, I'm just settling in. Sorry, I have no idea where we
You just
are.
came.
Yeah. Sorry.
Pranan tatyajye dusyajan. She gave up her body, which is practically impossible to give up. As much trouble as it causes, as much pain as it inflicts, as much as it, we don't like it often, it's an embarrassment, it's a source of every kind of difficulty. But giving it up, no. Who's ready to give up his body? It's very difficult. We see people, approaching death and trying everything to hold on for nothing. They have nothing to look forward to, but they can't bear the idea of dying. So it's duschidra. People do it when they're mad, when they're insane, or as we just heard, when it's so, life becomes unbearable, that giving up the body seems less painful. But duschidra means not exactly impossible, but very hard. Even to give up my phone, to give up my laptop, to give up my Facebook account, to give up so many, my apartment, to give up my favorite hoodie, to give up this, to give up that. People hold on to everything, or so many things. And the body, even we hear that in the first canto, where Vidura is really rebuking Dhritarashtra. Your body's like an old rag. You're coughing up mucus. You're blind from birth. Now you're hard of hearing. Your digestion is shot. Your teeth are loose. Your mind is fuzzy. Everything's going to hell, and still you want to hold on to this body. Still you want to hold on to this body. So that's how hard it is. Now, what is that? The false ego means the binding force of between soul and matter, soul and body, by which we identify this body as ourselves. So leaving the body means like no longer existing. And people think of it that way. That's the end of my existence. Either because that's what their religion teaches them, or that's what they intuitively think, or whatever. So, because the knot which ties matter to spirit is so tight that giving up my body seems like giving up my very self. It's so hard to do. To become non-existent. To become non-existent. Materialistic conception of life. Duschidra. Even we hear, what is it? Duschidjan darasutan, to give up one's wife, to give up one's children, to give up one's home, to give up one's family. That's hard. Therefore, people are generally not very keen to accept the renounced order of life. To give up my wife, that's half my body. They don't want to give up half their body, but to speak of the whole body. So it's astonishing that Sati gave up her body. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Question.
Saraswati. Oh,
I have one other thought on this topic. Like,
Thought.
we were talking about the quarrel between Lord Shiva and Prajapati Daksha, right? So just thinking about it in Kali Yuga, which is all about quarrel and hypocrisy. It's coming all the way, even from that time when an exalted devotee like Lord Shiva and having someone,
Yeah, now we're in the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. It goes all the way back to this quarrel between Shiva and Daksha. Then it was extraordinary. Any kind of quarrel would be extraordinary. In the heavenly planets, it's not a place of quarrel and enmity. They're all pious persons. And even in previous ages, in such a yuga, you wouldn't expect cursing and counter-cursing quarrels. Everyone's peaceful, everyone's calm. But in Kali Yuga, this is the dominant mode of human interaction. Quarrel.
and it's so painful. Even that was so painful that Goddess Sati actually gave up her life.
Yeah.
And quarrel in any form of violence.
Quarrel is painful. Quarrel is, of course, sometimes quarrel has some fun taste to it in Krishna's pastimes. But to be genuine quarrel in Kali Yuga, quarrel between husband and wife, quarrel between father and son, quarrel between brothers, quarrel between colleagues, quarrels between friends. It's just, and we think of quarrel sort of it's not the heaviest of words somehow. Quarrel, a lover's quarrel seems like that's like a passing thing. But the kind of quarrel that we're talking about involves deep discord, deep, what should we say? There's a word, but I don't have it on my tongue. But it involves this kind of enmity that just takes over everything. And people become hateful and inimical, vicious. They take pleasure in scoring a hit against whoever it is that they're opposing. If that can cause him pain or embarrassment or show that he's a fool or a hypocrite or a low life or anything else that I can find against him, then I feel pleasure. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also expresses that. I don't have the verse in my mind. The word, I don't remember the words right off.
Paradukha Sukhi.
Paradukha Sukhi. Yeah, that Amar Jiban song. Anyway, I can look it up, it takes time. But we take pleasure to see others skewered. We take pleasure to see others put into pain. It's justified, he deserved it. Should have been more. This is only a token of what you deserve, you lousy blah. And these things go on, and it goes right to the marma, right into the vital points within the body. In, I guess it's Ayurveda or other places, the marma points are the points where you really feel it. I guess those who are expert at torture would know these things. You put pressure in a certain point, you can just cause unimaginable pain to someone. And that's what happens in these quarrels. Even we think of these bitter divorces where it's just wrenching. I've done everything for you, and now. And so there's this just bitterness at any cost. Cost to the children, cost to the estate, cost to throw money at the lawyers, just to cause pain to someone. Both sides. Such an age, Kali Yuga. Kali Sattva Rapam. So all the good qualities. Prabhupada uses a salient word. Sattvahara. Sattvahara literally means takes away the good qualities. Prabhupada uses the word deteriorates. Like the way water deteriorates iron. Just a little rust, a little rust, a little more rust, a little more. And the thing is broken and ruined. So it's not that all at once all good qualities are taken away, but it's taken away a little more, little more, little more, until there's nothing left. Only passion and ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. We have a comment in the chat from Saraswati Mata. She says, Sati's body didn't only belong to her, but also belongs to Shiva. So her giving up her body without Shiva's consent signifies just how unbearably unhappy she was due to the ongoing one-sided conflict.
Except it didn't stay one-sided. Lord Shiva didn't respond combatively, but we'll see the conflict has two sides.
And to underscore one of the points you were making, she continues to say, a friend who is a divorce lawyer told me that in a case, his client spent 10 times the price in legal fees for a useless item she demanded she be given as settlement, which she didn't even want.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
More
It's the
readers
principle
there?
of the thing. So if we're here, it's the principle of the thing. And what is the principle? You should suffer. That's the principle. Somehow or other, I should be able to put in your eye. That's the principle of the thing. It's, vengeance and retribution and just whatever I can do, whether it's justified or not justified. And we'll find in the Daksha Yajna that there'll be so many justifications put forward by both sides why their take on the matter is entirely right, why they represent justice, why they represent proper conduct, what they stand for. It's quite something. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So far we've read basically the preamble to the narrative that's going to take place in this chapter. Now text 4 begins the actual story. Someone there might like to read, or shall...
Asmi.
Maitreyavacha pura vishvasrijam satre sameta paramarshaya tathamara guna sarve sanoga munayognaya. The sage Maitreya said, in a former time, the leaders of the universal creation performed a great sacrifice in which all the great sages, philosophers, demigods, and fire gods assembled with their followers. Purport. Upon being asked by Vidura, the great sage Maitreya, began to explain the cause of the misunderstanding between Lord Shiva and Daksha, because of which the goddess Sati gave up her body. Thus begins the history of a great sacrifice performed by the leaders of the universal creation, namely Marichi, Daksha, and Vashishta. These great personalities arranged for a great sacrifice, for which demigods like Indra and the fire gods assembled with their followers. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were also present.
Samaveta, the assembled, Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, assembled at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, or in many places we find Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, assembled devotees. So Samaveta. I remember in the early days the devotees were wondering what the Samaveta had to do with these things. And it's not Samaveta, 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 the assembled. Maybe I'll read something. Or someone else there? Online?
So Maharaj, I have a question.
Sure.
What was the reason they all got together and do the sacrifice?
This is the engagement of pious people. In New York, people get together and they have a gay pride parade, or they have a drinking party, or whatever it is that they do, according to the modes of nature in which they're sunk. But the demigods, this is their engagement. They get together for philosophical discourses. They get together for sacrifices to glorify the personality of Godhead, to offer respect to the personality of Godhead, or to do something for the welfare of others. That's said about the Naimisharanya sages. I think if we go back there, you might remember there's a verse like that they were gathered for the welfare of others. It wasn't just a get together for sense gratification, but they would do these things for universal welfare. They would do these things for advancement of spiritual enlightenment. They would do these things for service to the Lord. So such are the engagements of demigods.
Thank you.
Saraswati Mata has a question. May I ask if Sati gave up her body to sort of hurt her father too as retribution, or was it to open his eyes to his appalling behavior?
Well, these things I suppose we'll find discussed as the narrative unfolds. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Yeah, maybe that's the best answer, that we're a little bit ahead of ourselves here. But we could expect that the readers of Srimad Bhagavatam would think about all these different questions. Was she trying to get back at her father? Was she just overwhelmed by pain? Was she making a statement? People do extraordinary things to make a statement. Was it because she'd so many different possibilities are there, and I would not be surprised to see many different acharyas giving many different thoughts about the matter. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we have a few verses, a little bit of time left. I was wondering if you would prefer to read the next few verses, Maharaj, or perhaps Mahesh Pandit Prabhu would like to read.
Yes, I can go ahead here. Text number 4, Maitreya Uvacha.
No, we're
Ah.
checking
Yeah, thanks.
5.
Oh, yes, 5, sorry. Text 5. Tatra pravishta brushayo dushtva miva rochisha brajamanam viti miram kurvantam tanmahastah. When Daksha, the leader of the Prajapatis, entered their assembly, his personal bodily luster as bright as the effulgence of the sun, the entire assembly was illuminated, and all the assembled personalities became insignificant in his presence. Udatisthan sada sasyate swadishyanevya sahagnaya rute viringnam sarvam cha tad bhaskasita chetasa. Influenced by his personal bodily luster, all the fire gods and other Prajapatis in that great assembly, with the exception of Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, gave up their own sitting place and stood in respect for Daksha. So everybody gave stand up and except Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva when Prajapati Daksha entered the assembly.
The more the one thing is how influential Daksha was, that he's compared to Arka, the sun, so effulgent. A great person will naturally be effulgent, and Daksha was effulgent. So he wasn't so everyone saw it. Everyone saw Prajapati Daksha. They all rose, they all stood up, except Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. And it's interesting that Daksha doesn't go after Lord Brahma for not standing. But Lord Shiva comes in for criticism and envy. Although Lord Shiva is actually even greater than Brahma. Lord Shiva, Brahma, after all, is still among the Jivas. Lord Shiva is almost on the level of Lord Vishnu. But the Daksha was not disturbed by Brahma's remaining seated. And in the bodily concept of life, all right, Brahma's superior to him. He's the descendant of Brahma. But Lord Shiva, that's his son-in-law. His son-in-law is not respected. So, in this way, then, what is that? Abhiman. That's a certain pride. In terms of one's bodily self-identification. Even I mentioned gay pride. They've seized upon this word pride. Pride may be the next word to be ruined for the English language. Gay is already lost. Pride may be next. But in the bodily concept of life, one seizes upon something of which to be proud. So, yeah, Hare Krishna.
Should I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Sada sats patibhir daksho bhagavan sadhu satkrusha ajam loka guram natva nishasada Tatagnyaya. Daksha was adequately welcomed by the president of the great assembly, Lord Brahma. After offering Lord Brahma respect, Daksha, by the order of Brahma, properly took his seat.
Should we stop there?
That's a good place to stop, I think, for tonight. We really get into more discussion and longer purports coming up. That's okay.
Yeah, I think so.
We have some time for kirtan. Just one final comment in the chat from Saraswati Devi. Usually in Vedic culture, a son-in-law is so respected and awe and reverence by all the in-laws, including the father-in-law too. I just had one thought I wanted to share, Maharaj, that Daksha, we see his greatness upon entering the assembly, and he chose to unleash his ire upon Shiva. I was thinking how often we see that persons who are very well established materially and really ensconced materially they feel threatened by persons who are diametrically opposed to their way of life. And Shiva is so clearly not only his son-in-law, whom he doesn't approve of already, but he's so antithetical to Daksha's own mode of living that he couldn't stand it.
Good observation. Daksha's depicted as materially expert at being entangled in material life. And Lord Shiva is expert in staying aloof from all material affairs. Yeah, good points. Hare Krishna. Who's leading kirtan today? A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadeep Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you to your on-site kirtan organization. And thank you everyone for being here and for your comments and your attention and sharing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Beautiful kirtan. Hare Krishna. All right. And today's Friday. We'll see everyone on Monday. Hare Krishna.